I've always believed in routine. During the April 2020 lockdowns, I found peace in evening runs through Forest Park near Portland, Oregon. Alone in my apartment, the silence was suffocating until I discovered the Wildwood Trail. Every night at 6:45 p.m., same route, same playlist, same breath of freedom. It became my anchor while the world unraveled. Just me, the trail, and the rhythm of my steps. The park wasn't anything extraordinary. A loop of cracked asphalt winding through manicured grass, a pond the size of a backyard pool, and woods that lined the far edge like a polite but stern neighbor. Most people avoided it after dark, but I never saw a reason to. The silence was soothing, the emptiness therapeutic. It was mine, until last Tuesday. That night started like any other. The sun had just started to dip, casting long shadows across the sidewalk. I nodded at the same dog-walking lady I always passed. She smiled back like usual, earbuds in, golden retriever trotting along like he owned the place. The air had that crisp scent of late spring grass clippings, a tinge of pollen, the promise of summer on its way. I made the first loop, legs finding rhythm, breath sinking to the beat in my ears. There was a kind of magic to it, those first 10 minutes where nothing exists except you and the road. But something was off. I didn't notice it at first. Just small things. The elderly couple that usually sat on the bench by the entrance weren't there. Their absence made the space feel unusually large, hollow, even. The jogger who usually passed me on the second lap never showed. At the pond, I paused, like I always do. There's something about still water at twilight that makes you reflective. But that night, the pond was too still. No ducks, no insects, no breeze. It looked less like water and more like glass. I crouched to retie my lace and caught sight of something that hadn't been there before. A pair of sneakers, neatly placed at the very edge of the pond, facing the water. They weren't dirty. They weren't tossed aside like someone stretching their legs or cooling off. They were arranged, like whoever had worn them had carefully taken them off and walked straight into the pond. I waited, expecting a swimmer to break the surface, someone to laugh and wave, but nothing. Just that eerie stillness, like the world was holding its breath. I stood, every hair on my neck stiffening, a cold knot coiled in my gut, but I shook it off, probably just a prank, or some weird performance art. I turned to continue the loop. The trail curves into a narrow dirt stretch just past the pond, lined with bushes and tall birch trees. It's the part where I always lose signal, no texts, no calls, just static silence and the occasional rustle of leaves. That's when I heard it. A whisper. Not in the distance or right behind me. Close enough that I felt the breath of it graze the back of my neck. I froze. Spun around. Nothing. Just the trees, the pond, and that unnatural stillness that felt like the world had pressed pause. I stood there, heart hammering, waiting for something any to move. A squirrel, a breeze, even a duck, but there was nothing. The kind of silence that feels too heavy to be real. I picked up the pace, my breath catching in my throat. The whispers didn't stop. They slithered through the branches, soft and wet, like voices bubbling up from underwater. Not words, exactly more like the echo of something forgotten. But then, I heard it. My name. Clear, soft, drawn out like a warning. Elliot. Once behind my left ear, breathy and cold. Then again, farther down the path. Elliot. That was it. I didn't think. I just ran. My legs moved on instinct, muscles burning with the kind of adrenaline that only fear brings. I didn't care about my playlist, my loop, or the time. I needed to get out of there. But as I sprinted deeper into the trail, my eyes caught something ahead, something wrong. Footprints. Wet ones. Not mine. Pressed into the dry dirt like someone had stepped straight out of the pond and walked barefoot into the woods. They were fresh, still glistening, and they were leading deeper into the trail, toward the thickest part of the trees. I slowed down. I don't know why. Curiosity? Dread? That's when I saw her. She was standing between two trees, half concealed in shadow. A woman, tall and motionless, dressed in a long white gown that looked like it belonged in a museum exhibit, old-fashioned, and far too clean for someone standing in the woods. At first, I thought she might be in trouble. I slowed, pulling out my earbuds. "Hey, are you okay?" I called. She didn't respond. She tilted her head slowly, like a curious dog. Something about her didn't compute. Her posture, her stillness, it was uncanny. And her face, it was wrong. I don't mean it was injured or grotesque. I mean it didn't seem real. Like it had been painted on and a rush, eyes slightly off, lips unmoving, expression frozen in an emotion that didn't match the moment. And then I saw her feet. She wasn't standing on the ground. She was hovering, a few inches off the dirt, perfectly still, no swaying, no movement, just suspended there like a broken marionette that had forgotten it wasn't alive. I ran. No warm-up, no pacing, just a full-out sprint, heart punching my ribs, adrenaline slamming through my veins. The trees blurred, the dirt cracked beneath each step. I felt something behind me, no footsteps. Not breath, but a presence, thick and pulling, like gravity had turned hostile. The trail twisted longer than I remembered, the turn for the parking lot never coming. The woods felt tighter, darker, the path no longer familiar. Finally, I burst out into the open. The flickering park lights above the entrance buzzed weakly, but they were on, and that was enough. I didn't stop. I dove into my car, locked the doors, and sat there trembling. Nothing followed. When I got home, I blamed exhaustion. Maybe I was dehydrated. Maybe I'd had a micro-dream, those weird waking nightmares your brain makes when it short circuits. I didn't sleep that night, though. I left the hallway light on like I used to as a kid. The next day, I checked the news. Nothing. No missing persons. No strange sightings. Just an article about the local high school's baseball team winning a game. By Wednesday evening, curiosity had already started gnawing at my logic. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe I needed to prove that to myself. So I went back. I know. Classic horror story mistake. But it didn't feel like recklessness, it felt necessary. Like if I didn't go, whatever had started wouldn't stop. I jogged the same route. The couple on the bench still weren't there. Neither was the dog-walking lady. The entire park was emptier than usual, as if people knew something I didn't. When I reached the pond, the sneakers were gone, but something else had replaced them. A phone, identical to mine, same brand, same color, same little crack on the bottom right corner of the screen protector. I reached into my pocket to make sure. My phone was still there, warm from my palm. I picked up the one by the pond. It lit up immediately. Same lock screen photo and my brother on a hike from last fall. Same app layout, same battery percentage. 2 phones, exactly the same. But only one should exist. That's when the pond rippled. Not the breeze kind of ripple, the something went under kind, something big. I backed away, chest tightening. I left the phone on the bench by the trail and ran straight back to my car. That night, the whispers started. Wet prints, human-sized, leading from my front door to the hallway and vanishing before reaching the bedroom. My floors are carpeted, but I could still see them, damp impressions that shouldn't exist. I stopped sleeping. Last night, something changed. I woke up at 3:17 a.m. on the dot and my bedroom door was wide open. I live alone. I always close that door. I stood frozen in bed for what felt like an hour, waiting for something to move. But nothing did. I checked my phone out of habit. The screen lit up with a new notification. Route updated. Begin loop. It wasn't from an app I recognized. No icon, just those words. I opened the notification and it flashed white, then black, then static. Then a voice whispered directly from the speaker. "We're not done running." I dropped the phone. This morning, the phone from the pond was back on my kitchen table. I swear on everything I never brought it inside. But there it was, screen on, showing the time. 6:45 p.m. Tonight, I'm writing this now because I don't know what else to do. I feel like my thoughts aren't mine anymore. I catch myself staring at the window, waiting for something. My legs itch to move, like they want to go back. Like the trail is still calling me. Maybe I never really left it. I don't know what the park is. I don't know who or what that woman was, but something there saw me. And now it's following me, not just in steps or whispers, but in routine like I've been marked. Looped in. It started small, a flicker of movement behind me, the crunch of gravel that didn't match my stride. I told myself it was nothing, we always do. But night after night, the feeling grew heavier, like the path itself was watching, waiting. My loop me familiar trail became a ritual, and somehow, something joined it. Not just a presence, but a pattern, something that learned me, matched me, became part of me. Now, even in daylight, I feel it, a breath at my neck, a shadow I can't shake. I'm not sure if I brought it home or if it brought me somewhere else entirely. So if you're reading this and you jog at night, if you think you're alone on your path, just remember, trails always loop back, and some loops never let go.